General Hospital spoilers reveal that from crumbling romances to shocking accidents that could change everything, General Hospital is delivering the kind of high-stakes drama that keeps loyal fans like me coming back day after day. I've seen my share of epic love stories rise and fall over the decades, but right now it seems like the show is deliberately shaking things up in a way that feels both refreshing and a little bittersweet, especially when it comes to those passionate couples we've grown so attached to. Take Carly and Jack, for instance. What started as a promising connection has clearly reached its breaking point, and I can't help but feel a mix of sympathy and understanding for both of them. Carly has always been a woman who follows her heart even when it leads her into complicated territory, and right now she's caught in a web of secrets that Jack simply doesn't see coming. She's been keeping company with him while her mind wanders elsewhere, and when Jocelyn finally spoke up about the infidelity, it was like a quiet bomb going off in the middle of their relationship. I remember thinking as I watched those scenes unfold that this kind of slow burn revelation is exactly what makes the show so addictive. Jack storms into a room looking for answers, only to find her in a state that raises more questions than it settles, and yet the real explosion hasn't even happened yet. In my view, this isn't just another fling gone wrong. It's the end of something that never quite had solid ground to begin with. Carly deserves someone who can match her fire, and if that means turning toward Valentine, well, I've seen enough of their chemistry over the years to believe it could work. Valentine has been wrestling with his own feelings, torn between his long history with Anna and this new pull toward Carly, and I find myself rooting for him to choose happiness, even if it surprises some longtime fans. The way the writers are handling this feels different from the old days when betrayals were loud and immediate. Now they're letting the tension simmer, making us question every glance and every late night conversation. And speaking of surprises, the departure of Jason has left such a noticeable hole in Carly's world that it's almost tangible on screen. Jason has been her rock for so many years, through every crisis and every triumph, and his absence right now feels like a chapter closing that forces her to stand on her own in ways she hasn't had to for a long time. I've watched Carly navigate loss before, but this one hits differently because it coincides with all these new romantic entanglements. It's as if the show is saying that even the strongest bonds can shift, and Carly is being given a chance to redefine herself without leaning on the same old support system. I wonder sometimes if the writers are testing how far they can stretch her character before she breaks, and so far, she's holding up with that signature resilience that makes her one of my all-time favorites. It leaves room for fresh dynamics too, especially with Valentine stepping into a more central role in her life. Their connection has layers that go back years, and I'm convinced this could evolve into something truly special if the story allows it the time to breathe. Then there's the situation with Chase and Brooklyn, which is building toward what looks like another painful unraveling. These two have been through so much together, and yet recent events suggest they're heading for a shock that neither of them fully sees coming. Michael has been quietly orchestrating opportunities that put Chase closer to Willow, and I have to admit, as a longtime viewer, this kind of calculated interference feels both clever and a little heartbreaking. Michael believes he's protecting his own interests, but in doing so, he's putting two good people on a collision course with heartache. Brooklyn has always been a fighter, and Chase has that steady, honorable quality that makes him so endearing. But if their relationship crumbles under this pressure, it opens the door for new possibilities that have been quietly simmering in the background. I've noticed how often Dante has been placed in scenes with Brooklyn lately, and it makes me think the writers are planting seeds for something meaningful there. After all these years of watching characters circle back to one another, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Dante and Brooklyn find comfort and more in each other's company. The beauty of General Hospital has always been its willingness to let relationships evolve naturally over time, and this feels like one of those slow burn storylines that could pay off in a big way. Of course, the romantic shakeups aren't happening in a vacuum. There's a darker undercurrent running through Port Charles right now, and it centers on the shocking accident involving Jordan. From everything we've seen, this wasn't just a random mishap. It bears the fingerprints of Sidwell, and the way it's unfolding has me genuinely concerned for everyone's safety. Jordan has always been a strong, determined woman who stands up for what's right, and to see her fighting for her life after what appears to be a deliberate attempt to silence her investigation into Sidwell's dealings is both chilling and compelling. Curtis has been right by her side through it all, and their shared history adds so much emotional weight to the crisis. The involvement of Cullum in this tangled web only heightens the stakes. Cullum and Sidwell together represent a new kind of threat, one that feels calculated and far-reaching, and it's clear they're engineering disruptions that go beyond simple crime. Their actions are rippling out to affect relationships and families in ways that make the entire town feel unsettled. I keep asking myself how far Sidwell is willing to go, and every new clue suggests the answer is farther than any of us imagined. This isn't the first time the show has introduced dangerous outsiders who upend the status quo, but the way Cullum and Sidwell are weaving their influence into existing rivalries feels fresh and urgent. What strikes me most about this current chapter is how the show seems to be gently phasing out some of those once red-hot couples to make space for new energy. It's not done harshly, but with a sense of inevitable change that mirrors real life. Jarly and the potential end of Chase and Brooklyn's marriage are two clear examples, and I believe this is intentional on the part of the writers. They've given us years of investment in these pairings, and now they're showing us that even the strongest bonds can be tested or redirected. It keeps the story from growing stale, and as someone who's watched the show through countless cast changes and creative shifts, I appreciate the courage it takes to let go of familiar territory. Of course, it doesn't mean we won't miss the old dynamics. I still smile thinking about some of Carly's past adventures and the way Chase and Brooklyn supported each other through their toughest moments. But the excitement of what's coming next more than makes up for it. Look at Lucas, for one. After the pain of losing Marco, he's on the verge of meeting someone new who could help him heal, and that kind of hopeful storyline is exactly what the show does best. Then there's the possibility of Elizabeth finding her way toward Dante, or even reconnecting with Drew once things settle. Elizabeth has carried so much quiet strength over the years, and seeing her open up to new chances feels right. Even Rick's rumored health scare adds another layer of uncertainty that could touch multiple lives in unexpected ways. These threads aren't isolated. They're all part of the larger tapestry the writers are creating, where personal heartaches intersect with larger dangers like the one Sidwell and Cullum are posing. I truly believe this approach is what keeps General Hospital vital after all these decades. It honors the history while refusing to stand still. The accident with Jordan isn't just a plot device. It's a catalyst that's pushing characters toward decisions they might not have faced otherwise. Will Curtis and Jordan find their way back to each other amid the chaos, or will the trauma drive them further apart? And how will Brooklyn's world shift if Chase is pulled in another direction? These are the questions that have me counting down the hours until the next episode. The romantic troubles feel more layered now, too, with secret alliances, hidden attractions, and the constant threat of exposure hanging over everyone. It's the kind of storytelling that rewards longtime viewers like me because we understand the weight of every glance and every whispered conversation. As I sit here reflecting on it all, I can't help but feel a quiet thrill at how the show continues to evolve. The departure of Jason created a space that Carly is filling in her own complicated way, and the emerging troubles for Chase and Brooklyn are adding depth to characters we've loved for years. Sidwell and Cullum's schemes are turning up the heat on the entire canvas, making every scene feel charged with possibility. The writers aren't afraid to break a few hearts if it leads to richer stories down the line, and that's something I've come to respect deeply. Port Charles has always been a place where love and danger walk hand in hand, and right now that balance feels perfectly tuned. I'm not worried about the future of the show. If anything, I'm more invested than ever. There's a sense that something big is building, and I, for one, plan to be right here watching every minute of it. The warmth of old friendships, the spark of new attractions, and the shadow of threats like Sidwell's make for the kind of television that still matters after all this time. So, here's to the next chapter, whatever surprises it may bring. General Hospital has never let me down yet, and I have every confidence it won't start now. The drama is heating up in the most delightful way, and I wouldn't miss a single day of it for anything.